You don't need a bunch of big fancy lights and a big fancy studio. It's easy to get overwhelmed when you see these famous photographers and their complex high-end lighting setups. It's easy for that to feel out of reach. What you have is enough. You have your own vision and your own creativity, so use it. Turn that dial up to 11. Strip away everything but the basic essentials and see what you can actually achieve. You just might surprise yourself. Okay, we're doing this. Welcome to Adventure in Art. My name is Ben Staley, your resident talking head. This episode is sponsored by Storyblocks. Mostly I'm a filmmaker, but I shoot a lot of portraits. I love shooting in a studio, love it, but I don't have one of my own because portraits and photography is not my main thing. It is something that I'm doing more and more and that I've become very passionate about. Actually, my filmmaking career as a director of photography and a director led me into portraiture. I learned how to light, I learned how to compose, all that through my filmmaking. And I began to get obsessed with capturing faces, and here we are a lot of years later. I just love portrait photography. I wouldn't call these portrait photography hacks, but I'm really hoping to inspire you and demystify the process, and perhaps through showing by example what I have done with very little, maybe it will inspire you to reach beyond what you think your limitations are. You don't have as many limitations as you think you do. If you think you have limitations, maybe you have a big studio and a bunch of lights. I don't. I sometimes use one, sometimes I don't, and I still get stellar results. So I'm just gonna share with you some of my top secrets. My top secrets? They're not top secret, I'm giving them away. They're just my top secret. You get the point. Okay, so let's just get into this. First of all, before we start, we need to define what is a high-end portrait. For me, I want a clean background. I want separation, and I want, okay, now we can have a high-end environmental portrait, like Annie Leibovitz does that very well. By the way, she has a whole team. Yes. What I'm gonna show you how to do is create high-end looking portraits alone with very little. Okay, so for me, let's define this. This starts with a clean background. I want to focus on the subject. I don't want a lot of noise. Maybe I have some depth. Whatever I have behind the subject, I want it to be clean and not distracting, much like a seamless that you would have in a studio. I want even, flattering light. I don't want mixed colors. I don't want dappled light. I don't want hard light and part of it's in shade. I want nice, soft, even, flattering light. The last thing that we want for a high-end portrait is a good catch light in the eyes. And we want to really be able to focus in and connect with the subject. We need a catch light. That's how we're defining high-end portraits in this context. Okay, so location is key. You don't have a studio, neither do I. I'm gonna show you 3 locations that I use quite often, and then some of the shots that I actually got in those locations. And we'll talk more about them as we get into this. The bridge. I call this actually my studio on the channel here, those of you that show up here often. It is known as my studio, and it's pretty close to my house, and so I've used it a lot over the years. But it's great. It's a relatively high bridge over a dry riverbed, and it's easily accessible by foot. There's a bike path that goes right underneath of it. You can just step off the bike path, you're under the bridge. It's very high, and it's deep, and nice soft light filters into here. And I've done a ton of work down here, probably over 100 sessions with several hundred people. It's amazing. Here's some work from my studio. Another place that I use a lot in Los Angeles, and I really love, it's a bit more effort to get to, and for me it's about a 35-minute drive and then a hike in, but that's the Sepulveda Dam. I love the Sepulveda Dam. It's kind of an iconic LA landmark. It's been seen in a bunch of movies, including one of my very favorite movies, Escape from New York. No, it's not in New York, it's in LA, but it was in Escape from New York, the Sepulveda Dam. Yeah, it's about a 20-25 minute hike in. I've actually taken, stands in and strobes and carried a lot of stuff in, sandbags. I can shoot with natural light and get amazing results at the Sepulveda Dam. Here's some shots that I've achieved there. And the third place that I've used quite a bit over the years is the old LA Zoo. It's the abandoned LA Zoo in Griffith Park. It's right next to a park. You can drive up and walk to it in 5 minutes. It's awesome. I love the old LA Zoo. Here are some shots that I got there. Let's take a minute and talk about the sponsor Storyblocks. I really love Storyblocks. I'm stoked that they're sponsoring this video because I've been using them for years. What is Storyblocks? It's a subscription service with millions of high-end assets for your video projects, stock footage, still images, sound effects, music, motion graphics for all your favorite editors, Adobe Premiere, After Effects, DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro. I'm a Final Cut Pro user. There's something like 3.4 million videos. So you just, boom, type in what you're looking for. It'll bring up a host of options. You click on one you like, and then it'll instantly suggest a whole bunch of others that are very similar. It just cuts down on searching. It saves you time, and it ups the quality of your videos.
This is authentic stock content created by real artists to tell stories and capture emotions that AI-generated content just can't replicate.
It'll literally just level up your creative potential.
Get unlimited downloads of this diverse and high-quality content for one predictable subscription cost.
Head to storyblocks.com/adventureandart or click the link below. Thanks Storyblocks for sponsoring this video. Considerations for creating a minimal high-end portrait. If you don't have a studio and you're not using artificial light, time of day is key. At my Bridge studio, I like shooting later in the day because the sun is low and it comes in through the opening, and I can choose either hard light or soft light depending on the look that I want. The cool thing about my LA Zoo location is I can shoot there any time of day. There's always soft covered light coming in, and it's good early in the morning, it's good late in the afternoon. It gives me a lot of flexibility. I also love shooting at the Sepulveda Dam late in the day because the sun is low and I can position the model in front of the sun, and I'm looking into the sun, and it just provides a nice hard backlight, which can give you some really, really cool results. Positioning is key if you don't have a studio. So you want to position your model or your subject in an area where there's a nice clean background. What I'll also do sometimes, and I've done this a lot at my zoo location, is I'll just bring a big circular backdrop, like one side's a reflector, the other side is just black, and I'll stick it in the back behind the model or the subject, and it just gives me a blank, even space while I have this nice, clean, flattering light coming in through the front. Amazing, simple, costs nothing. You can also achieve this in a doorway or a big window or a big room where there's a lot of natural light coming in. Super easy. You just carry around one of these big circular backdrops, fold it up, throw it in the back of your car, easy peasy. I think lens choice is really important if you have limitations and you don't have a real studio. I typically love an 85, a fast 85. My favorite lens is the 85mm 1.4, I think. Yeah, here it is right here. This is my favorite lens. on this new awesome camera, the Lumix S1R2. Love that lens. What a fast, long lens like that will do is it really blurs out the background and it hides any distracting elements, so it just gives you a lot more flexibility. It's also a really flattering focal length for faces. Lens choice is key. Artificial lighting. That's a whole other video, okay? We could go into artificial lighting and how to use that, and that can certainly up your game if you don't have a studio, and it can give you flexibility and power. It's also a bit more work, so this video is not about that. Maybe we'll do that another time. This is all focusing on natural light in found environments. You will have limitations. For instance, you can't have three-point lighting, right? Probably you need to position your subject and choose a spot where one simple diffuse source is going to do the trick for you. That's fine. Plenty of high-end portraits follow this rule. You can also find a location where maybe you get some reflection or some bounce back just to pop out the subject a little bit better from the background, and I've certainly done this a time or two. Here's the other thing that a natural environment gives you that oftentimes a studio won't, and that's a vibe. I hike out under a bridge or to Sepulveda Dam, or I'm in some old cave in an abandoned zoo, and there's just a vibe, and it's an experience. And when you show your subject or your model the pictures that you're getting, instantly they kind of perk up like, wow, we're doing that here? And it just creates an energy and a feeling that I think adds a ton to the work. So you want to think about that. Find a place that's cool and see what's the coolest thing you can do there. Thanks for watching this episode, and thanks to Storyblocks for sponsoring us. We'll see you again real soon, folks. Get out there and make something.